Fight fans all over the world, it's Daddy P with Slap Pappy Gorilla. What? Daddy P, we back at it. We live once again for this fight week. Devin Haney versus Vasyl Lomachenko. Listen, I told y'all last night, tonight we will talk more about Vasyl Lomachenko. We talked more about Devin Haney yesterday. What I like to kind of point out is that a lot of people talk about how 4 years ago or so, and they were talking about this at the press conference, that Devin Haney was really trying to get the fight with Vasyl Lomachenko. I remember it too, and I know a lot of people, if you've been following boxing, I know you remember as well. Now, I understand this, that just like Errol Spence, man, a lot of people didn't want to fight Errol. Now, the thing about Errol Spence is Errol Spence was knocking people out, man. That's plain and simple. Devin Haney at 135, especially lately, since his competition level has been kind of raising, he hadn't been knocking people out. But he's a guy that people don't want to, like a boxer, man. A lot of times people don't want to fight a boxer because they feel like they can get embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? But 4 years ago really would have been probably a more opportune time for Vasyl Lomachenko to fight Devin Haney. He was still, I'm not going to say he was green. He was a professional. He had been, fighting as a professional for a little bit. But his learning curve wasn't the same, He's learned a lot since then. He's been in and around, like I said last night, that Mayweather gym. And, the more experience he gets, the more dangerous he'll be. He was already fundamentally sound. Now, listen, I'm sorry I just jumped into things, but, man, I am very excited about this fight week. But I will say this, listen. For those of you that don't know, we're going live. We don't have anybody in the chat so far. I hope that people will show up. If not, I appreciate people who tune in to the replay. So I'm going to just continue on. But I do want to make everybody aware that does not know that with Slap Pappy Gorilla, Daddy P, you do have an opportunity to win $100. Listen, you have to be a subscriber. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you're not a subscriber, you have to be a subscriber to win. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in a few minutes. I am going to dive right in and talk about a little bit about Vasyl Lomachenko. Last night, I talked more about Devin Haney. But if you continue to watch the live stream, go ahead and put who you are rooting for or who you are a fan of out of Devin Haney and Vasyl Lomachenko. Go ahead and put it in the chat and how you feel they're going to win this fight. And if you stay tuned, just for a few more minutes, I'll tell everybody about how you can win $100 this week, this week by watching this fight and telling me who's going to win. But I'll tell you a little bit more about it in a little bit. Okay, so Vasyl Lomachenko, a lot of people know that Vasyl Lomachenko is two-time gold medalist in the Olympics. He was a very heralded amateur. He had a very bright amateur career. A lot of people know about this, but he's not an amateur anymore. Even though Devin Haney just called him an amateur, he said, I'm going to beat up on this amateur. That's what Devin Haney said. But, he's not an amateur anymore. I talked about a little bit, I think that was the first Monday I talked a little bit about it, that Vasyl Lomachenko, when he first came into the professional rankings, his being a two-time gold medalist with Top Rank went a long ways. Top Rank really couldn't wait to get their hands on Vasyl Lomachenko. And once they got their hands on him, they praised him to the highest. And because of that, Bob Arum did give him a lot of specialties, just because he believed in them a lot. And I ain't mad at him, man. If you have an opportunity, I mean, he worked hard for those opportunities. He worked hard. Those the guys who are competitive in the Olympics, they competing against people from all over the world, and you have to be disciplined. And I know he worked hard to be not only a one-time but two-time gold medalist in the Olympics, representing his country. So he worked hard for that, and I understand that, and I ain't mad at him for that affording him the opportunities that he had. You know what I'm saying? That's just like if a kid goes to college, and they have very high grade point average, different fraternities or sororities, they do different things. They get all the accolades academically. It's going to afford them a lot of stuff for their professional careers. I mean, that's the same. It's the same idea. So I'm not mad at the fact that Vasyl Lomachenko had some special treatment when he first came into the business, the professional rankings of boxing. However, he did kind of disappoint. And it just show you that the pros are a different level. His second fight he fought Orlando Salido, and he lost. And I just go to show you that, man, the professional rankings is a different beast altogether. So I mean, you can have all the accolades as amateur. You can have gold medals from the Olympics, whatever. When you come into this professional rankings, it's a whole different beast. And Vasyl Lomachenko found that out the hard way, you know. But he bounced back from that, and he had some good fights, notable wins against people like the Axeman, Nicholas Walters. I don't know if y'all remember him. Miguel Mariaga, Jorge Linares. He had some good wins, and he kind of got himself in a place to where all of those different accolades and things that were being brought up about him, people start to really believe in them more, and they start calling him the Matrix. When he was sitting these guys down and making them quit, they start calling him Nomaschenko, all of these different things. And I think it really did give him I ain't gonna say it blowed his head up, but it kind of gave him more confidence in himself. And I'm gonna tell you, in the ring, if you go back and watch a lot of those fights, man, he was very theatrical. He was very like he would make the bull and matador sign like he's playing with the fighter. Sometimes he'll go ahead and like call for the other corner to stop the fight, because he's beating the guy up so much. And then he'll say, "Oh, you're not gonna stop it? Okay." Then he go back to beating him up. I mean, he's very theatrical, man. Vasyl Lomachenko is, I mean, he knows that this is the entertainment business. So he's learned from some of his mistakes. He's gotten more confident. However, some air got taken out his tire when he lost to Teofimo Lopez. I think that was 2020. And so he's been through the mill, to say the least. And he's shown himself as resilient. So now he has another opportunity. Well, he has a opportunity at Undisputed. And this is an opportunity for him that he knows is far and few in between. And he even says it could be his last shot. Now, I was watching the press conference for Vasyl Lomachenko Devin Haney. I think that was supposed to be the last one. And something he was saying, well, Egas, I can't remember his name, Egas Cleavers, whatever. His manager was there with him. His manager also doubles as a I guess a translator, because Vasyl Lomachenko, his English is very broken. He understands and speaks limited English, but uh his manager is kind of there and he's able to translate. He speaks English a lot more fluently, and obviously he understands their language very well. So but anyway, he was there and he was talking about how Vasyl Lomachenko made an opportunity when Kambosos won the belts from Teofimo Lopez. First of all, when Vasyl Lomachenko lost the belts to Teofimo Lopez in 2020, he was crushed. And it's coming out more recently that he took it a lot harder than he displayed it in the media. And so he really wanted a rematch with Teofimo Lopez. But Teofimo Lopez lost the belts to George Kambosos. And when he lost to George Kambosos, now this puts the spotlight on Kambosos. And Egas Klimas, I'm sorry. I'm just going to say Lomachenko's manager. That I'll be better off doing that. I'm sorry. So Lomachenko's manager called him and told him, hey, look, you have an opportunity at Undisputed. Really, but honestly, that really wasn't an opportunity for Undisputed, because however you want to slice it, George Kambosos did not have the real WBC world championship belt, because Teofimo Lopez didn't have the real WBC world championship belt. And because when he beat Lomachenko, Lomachenko didn't have the real WBC belt. Devin Haney had been elevated to the WBC world champion because they elevated Lomachenko to the franchise champion. So just to make that clear, I understand that, because I know people very critical when you say stuff, and especially those that like to. Sometimes you have trolls, sometimes you have boxing fans that just like to critique you, and I understand, but I understand that that wouldn't be Undisputed. But in the press conference, this is what Lomachenko's manager was expressing, that he told Lomachenko, hey, look, you got an opportunity at Undisputed. This is your dream. George Kambosos wants to give you this opportunity. So George Kambosos did want to fight Vasyl Lomachenko. So Vasyl Lomachenko, as he is a Ukrainian, he wanted to go home and be with his family during the war. A lot of people say fight for his country in the war. Come on, man. Y'all know that ain't happening. Y'all know the man did not go and pick up a 50 cal and start fighting. No, y'all, that it just ain't happening. But I do honor him. I do respect him for wanting to be with his family at that time. I understand that, and that's very admirable. So he told his manager that, hey, look, I can't think about boxing right now. Only thing I can think about is my country that's being attacked and ravaged by the Russians, and I want to be with my family. So he stayed with his family. Meanwhile, Devin Haney got the opportunity to fight George Kambosos. Now, this was the real Undisputed match, because Devin Haney had the WBC World Championship belt for the 135-pound division. Listen. So This is going to be for undisputed. So George Kambosos did not have the WBC World Championship belt, but he had all the other belts. He had the WBO, he had the IBF, and he had the WBA. World championship belts for 135 lightweight division. So he gave Devin Haney the opportunity because it would be for the real undisputed crown. So he gave Devin Haney the opportunity. Devin Haney beat him convincingly. A lot of people thought he was going to get robbed going over to Australia. Because he was the champion, he basically told him, hey, if you want to fight for these belts, I'm the A side. I make the rules. Devin Haney said, okay. Even though Devin Haney was used to making that real money over there on the zone, he came over, the top rank, said, hey, look, you the boss. And Devin Haney beat him. He had a rematch clause. Devin Haney went back for the rematch to Australia and beat him again. Hey, listen, I like reiterating that. I talked about that a little bit yesterday. But like I say, this is not about Devin Haney. I'm talking more about Lomachenko, but I just want to follow the storyline. So stick with me a little bit. So what ended up happening is Devin Haney beat George Kambosos convincingly twice, and now he is the real undisputed champion for 135. Now, Devin Haney has been making 135 for a long time, and he's growing into his body as a young man. He is no longer a boy. He's growing into being a young man. He's like 24 years old. So now he's growing into his body, and it's harder for him to make this 135, but he really wanted this fight with Lomachenko because it's a legacy thing for him, you know. So this is why Lomachenko now has the opportunity to fight for the real undisputed crown. Now, his manager said he was fighting for with Kambosos. That wasn't true. But now, with Devin Haney giving him this opportunity, hey, he fighting for undisputed. And the thing with Lomachenko now, he has experience as a professional. A lot of people that try to hold him because he's quick. He can hit you from different angles, and it'll surprise you that he's hitting you like he's actually hitting you from those angles. So what people do is, the worst shot that hits you is the one that you can't see. It's harder to recover from, So people go to that natural thing. They'll go to hold him, and he knows how to slip holes. Go back and watch some of his fights, and you'll see. Lomachenko knows how to slip holes. Rigon Diao. When he fought Rigon Diao. Rigon Diao tried to hold him, and I'm gonna tell you, man. Listen, I was a big boxing fan back then too, but I'm gonna tell you, I wasn't well versed on those lower weight classes like 122 and all that. Man, them guys that's in that weight division, I really didn't follow a lot. But I didn't realize how much smaller Rigon Diao was than Lomachenko. And he was way smaller. But every time Lomachenko got a teed off on him with a shot, he would try to grab Lomachenko, and he has this way that he'll slip out of a hole, and then he'll go back to work. He'll go back to hitting you from them angles. So this experience, the reason why I bring this up is something that could be very effective for Vasyl Lomachenko in this fight, because people talk about Devin Haney holding, but he does. He does. He's a boxer, man. And a lot of time he goes stick and move. If he feel like he can't get out of the way fast enough, he gonna grab you. And I think that Lomachenko, he started to understand that if he's able to break holes, he's going to get his offense off a lot better. Because that's one of the things with Orlando Salido that he was slipping in. He came from the amateurs where he was used to throwing punches in bunches. And, those guys just try to throw punches back. But Vasyl Lomachenko, he's a master at getting in position to hit you from these different angles. So once he's in position, he puts himself in a position where he's throwing the shot, you receiving the shot, and it's harder for you to hit him back or counter him, you know what I'm saying, than him hitting you. That's how he puts himself in position. And that's what's very tricky about Lomachenko. And but Orlando Salido, being the vet that he was, man, he was holding him. He'll be on the opposite side of the ref and clamp down on that one arm that's on that same side. Well, it frustrated Vasyl Lomachenko because he was robbing him of his opportunities for offense. He couldn't, get his real shots off. But what Lomachenko started understanding is that in the professional rankings, you have certain referees that's going to let you hold and work it on the inside as you hold. And then you have some referees that's going to break you every time somebody's clinching. You know what I'm saying? So you just have to understand the referee. Meanwhile, if you study a fighter and you know that they huggers, they going to hold you, then you need to figure out a plan to be able to get out of that hole so that you can get your offense off. And I think he understands that a lot better. And I think he grew from that Orlando Salido loss because you see that he worked on being able to slip holes. He worked on that a lot. You could tell by almost every fight after that, after Orlando Salido, you could tell he worked on it. So I think that's going to be very effective for him. Also, him being a southpaw is going to be effective as well because, for Devin Haney, I'm going to tell you this as well. With the footwork that Lomachenko have, he makes mistakes, but with how his footwork is, it's kind of unorthodox. It's not the same as a lot of people's footwork, but it's effective in a lot of ways. With Devin Haney, because Lomachenko is a southpaw, I think that Lomachenko is going to get a lot of opportunities to kind of take that jab away from Haney. And the thing with Devin Haney is he consistent, and I'm waiting to see, and I know that Bill and Devin, I know that they got a game plan for, a lot of these different things that Lomachenko does and what he's good at, and also try to exploit some of his mistakes. But that's one of the things I feel like Lomachenko is going to do, because in the past, Devin has had a little bit of, like, he undefeated, so he done beat all the left-handers that he fought. But there were some instances where he fought left-handed guys, and they gave him a little problems at certain times. So I feel like what Lomachenko is going to try to do is take away that jab from Haney, because they know that that's one of the things that can be to their detriment if they don't take the jab away, because Lomachenko, like I said, he does come in at weird angles and surprise you, with his unorthodox footwork and how he throws punches from these different angles. And he's not going to be able to do that well if Devin had that jab in his face, So he knows that he has to do something to neutralize that jab. And he made a comment about it as well. One of the commentators. I don't remember what it is. I watch a lot of different boxing stuff on YouTube. I can't remember if it was Fight Hub or what. I believe it was one of the Fight Hub interviews I was watching, and the guy was asking him about Devin Haney's jab, and he's, these guys, like, they smarter than to give these guys too much information about their fight plan. But what Lomachenko did say, he said, "Hey, if you know that Devin Haney has a jab, you better believe I know." And that basically he was saying, if everybody talking about Devin Haney's jab, you better believe I'm doing stuff to neutralize that. So that's a given. That's not something that's a big secret. I'm not trying to act like I know all of this inside stuff about boxing. It's very plain and simple. Everybody knows that one of the ways that Devin Haney can win this fight is by boxing. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that a boxer is going to do. He's going to establish the jab early. So I think that Vasyl Lomachenko is going to try to neutralize that jab early. And the reason why I say that is because, look, the last time he fought a guy that was bigger than him and was smart, he got beat. Teofimo Lopez, bigger guy than him, and Teofimo Lopez, he kept that jab in the face of Lomachenko. And I know everybody watched that fight and they say, well, Loma just wasn't throwing. That's the truth. That's the truth. But he couldn't get his offense going because the jab was right there to neutralize his offense. And the thing with Teofimo Lopez, not only was he bigger, but he also had that perception, like it was perceived already, that Teofimo Lopez has power and he can knock you out with one punch. That was already in the back of Lomachenko's mind. And I believe that he was a little tentative because of that. And I believe, I said this in the video before, and I also believe that when he was fighting Teofimo Lopez, he felt this power. Those guys, when they're in those first few rounds, they are trying to feel, what they've been hearing about. They're trying to see, okay, is this guy really, is he really packing the punch that everybody's talking about? And yeah, I see you, bro. Yeah, I just had a guy. He's saying that Lopez gave Loma something to think about coming off a lot of knockouts. He say Haney don't have that respect. And yeah, I talked about that in one of the videos, one of my past videos. I can't remember the title of it. I'm sorry. But I did talk about it because a lot of people's talking about how Devin Haney, a lot of people don't put respect on Devin Haney's name because he ain't been knocking people out lately at 135. But like I said, I understand he makes the decision to stay at lightweight. But making that decision, he has to drain down to 135, And this is what I was saying. So he's not going to have that power. Now, I believe, this is my personal opinion, it's not proven. I just believe this. I believe that when Devin Haney moves up to like 140 and maybe 147, I think he's already coming into his man strength. I think he's gonna have a lot more power. But he got to make this 135 once again. You know what I'm saying? He has to make 135. And I think this is a big disadvantage for Devin Haney. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the thing, like you said, when Vasyl Lomachenko went in against Lopez, against Teofimo, it's the buzz around Teofimo Lopez is that he could knock you out with one punch. So Vasyl Lomachenko had to account for that. You know what I'm saying? So he already is kind of like a slower starter. You know what I'm saying? So when he got in there, he wanted to feel that. He wanted to know, is this thing that everybody's talking about, is this real? You know what I'm saying? Is the power from Lopez real? And I personally believe he felt it. And that's what made him a little skeptical about throwing and getting countered. So Lopez was able to keep that jab in his face, and he won rounds just from the jab. He didn't have to throw power punches, in those first few rounds because Vasyl Lomachenko wasn't throwing. So he was winning rounds just off the jab. So every fighter's dream is, hey, look, I'm gonna win rounds. If this guy is not gonna engage, I'm gonna just keep winning rounds. And it was working for Teofimo. He just kept the jab. Now with Devin Haney, now this is the thing about Devin Haney, and this is not proven. Nobody knows. But I really do believe that even though he's not knocking guys out, people aren't taking major chances with him. So he has a little bit of pop on his punches. But this is the thing. He does not have that buzz that Teofimo Lopez had, as far as having power. So I don't think that Lomachenko is going to respect him. I agree. Bushido KI, I agree. I really do agree. I agree because I don't think Lomachenko's gonna have that same respect because it's not a buzz about whether he has power or not. I mean, at 135, it's not a buzz. A lot of people don't respect him because of that. As he has risen to a different level of competitors, he haven't been getting the knockouts. So it's the buzz is that he don't have power. I don't believe that he don't have any power because if he didn't have any power, he would. It's a lot of people that would have beat him. I believe that personally, if he didn't have some pop on his punch, Jojo Diaz would have beat him. You know what I'm saying? Jojo Diaz, he's a decent enough fighter. You know what I'm saying? I thought he fought well against Russell as well. I felt like if he would have took more chances with Russell, you could tell some of them shots was affecting Russell. When with Jojo Diaz, I saw some things in Russell that I was like, wow, why he don't keep, you know what I'm saying, hitting him like that, because Russell was kind of like shoe shining a lot with JoJo. So it was winning him rounds, but it's like JoJo really, I believe he could have went in more and he could have probably at least took some chances, man, and just left some stuff on the line. But I think that if Devin Haney really didn't have any power or no pop on his punch, I think Jojo Diaz would have beat him. But I think that Jojo Diaz didn't take any real risk because of the pop on that punch, man. And like I say, that's not proven. That's just what I believe because I think Devin could have took some losses, man, if he didn't have some type of pop on his punch. But I mean, it's clear that he don't have a lot of power at 135, man. Right? Like he's knocked some people out, but he haven't knocked out any like these last few people he been fighting. He ain't been knocking them out. You know what I'm saying? It's a different level of competition. It's levels in the sport, obviously. You know what I'm saying? But with this type of fighter, with Vasyl Lomachenko, I really do agree. I don't think that he's going to come in respecting Haney as far as the power goes. And the only way he will is if Devin like straightens him with a couple of them. You know what I'm saying? And it's possible that he can catch him with, because both of them have opportunities when for a left-hander, that right hand coming down the pipe is kryptonite. For the right-hander, that southpaw bringing that left hand down the pipe, it's kryptonite. They can both get caught. But the thing is, can Devin give Vasyl Lomachenko something to respect? If early on, I think that Lomachenko, like I said, I don't think he's going to respect him. I think he's going to try to neutralize that jab. and I think he's gonna try to start a little earlier. With Lopez, you can tell at the end of the fight he got in a rhythm and he started, winning rounds. At the end, it was too late, but at the same time, Lomachenko, he's a world-class guy. He's gonna figure you out. The thing is, will he start early enough to win? And in this fight, I think he looks at this fight a little bit more important because it's for undisputed. This is his dream. This is something they talk about. They've been talking about in this last press conference. What's bad is, man, Lomachenko, he just ain't been talking no trash. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's hard to talk about Lomachenko and say, oh, he gonna do this. He say he gonna do that. He ain't been saying nothing. He just been very humble. I think what has a lot to do with that, to me, what I believe is that, the things going on in his country. I've heard rumors that some people calling him traitors because he left the country to come back to box. I mean, I think that's kind of unfair to him, but at the same time, I mean, it is what it is. And I think that he's a little embarrassed about that. I think that's just a little bit, a little bit about. And then he also, he's just, I don't think he want to put pressure on himself. That would have seemed like to me, it seems like he don't want to put any pressure on himself. So he ain't, they try to bait him into saying different things. I heard different reporters saying different things about things that we think he could stop Haney, how he's gonna win the fight, and will he dominate the fight? And he always come back with a very short answer that has nothing to do with aggression. You know what I'm saying? And I do want to see that from Lomachenko. And I'm kind of reluctant to really get behind him to say that I don't know. Because to me, unless you put pressure on yourself, you know what I'm saying? What do you have to hold yourself accountable for? You know what I'm saying? If you don't put no pressure on yourself, you know what I'm saying? Now he is saying that he's ready. He's doubling down on that. But Haney is the one that's saying that he's gonna win, he's gonna dominate, he's gonna prove the doubters wrong. Haney ain't been going all out either. It's been a pretty respectful press conference, and pretty respectful as far as them coming out into the media. They've been pretty respectful of each other. But Devin is the one that's kind of coming forward and being more aggressive per se. You know what I'm saying? I see somebody ask me what's my prediction for the fight. Hey, I don't know. Let's see. What do you predict? This is the thing. Now, since I got a few people here, I hope you guys here and you know this, that you can win $100 not for betting on this fight. I'm not betting anybody, but Daddy P and Slap Happy Gorilla is giving away $100 for the person that tells us who's going to win the fight, how they're going to win the fight, and if that person wins that they're a fan of, they can win $100. So now this is the thing. If y'all stick with me, now we got tomorrow and Friday. This is the last 2 days. The fight is Saturday. So y'all stick with me these 2 days and, keep putting what you got going. I'm taking that hundo. Let's go. That's what Palms Rising say. So listen, if you keep participating in the live streams, I'm going to pick one person that's a fan of Devin Haney. I'm going to pick one person that's a fan of Vasyl Lomachenko. And those two are going to tell me their fight is going to win, how he's going to win. And whichever one wins, they get the $100. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to put that out there. I did say that I was going to, if you stuck with me in the chat, that you will get that I'm going to tell you about this opportunity. I'm telling you, you know, keep coming to the chat. Come tomorrow night. I'm going to start about between 7 and 7:15. I'm going to say a solid 7:15. By the time I get here about 7, and it takes me a little while to set everything up, and then we'll go ahead and get into it. And tomorrow, Friday is the weigh-in. So tomorrow we'll talk a little bit about the two fighters, and we'll talk about the undercard. You know what I'm saying? But you win the money from Devin Haney versus Lomachenko. So yeah, just keep participating in the chat, and we're gonna put it down. So anyway, I kind of lost my train of thought, but that was very interesting. Bushido KI, yeah, that's a good point made, that Devin Haney don't have that same respect that Lopez had. I'm talking about across the board. Lopez was known for that. You know what I'm saying? He can knock you out with one punch. And Devin Haney don't have that kind of buzz around his name. And quite frankly, he has the opposite. You know what I'm saying? People don't respect him for his power at 135. But like I said, I mean, from the outside looking in, it looks like, okay, man, this guy got pillar fist. But in the ring, when you're getting hit in the face, it's a different story. He might not knock you out, but that don't mean he don't have enough power for you to respect him. You know what I'm saying? And that's why what I mean when I say, like, it's some guys in the past that if he have some type of respectful power, pop on his punches, I think they would have took chances and try and would have won. And Jojo Diaz is one of them. And for that reason, I believe he has some type of pop on those punches. But I don't think that's not going to be enough to detour Vasyl Lomachenko, because I think Vasyl Lomachenko understands this one thing, that Devin Haney is a boxer and he wins on points. So I believe Vasyl Lomachenko understand that he can't let Devin Haney like put too many of these first few rounds in the bag. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened with Teofimo Lopez. You know, he let him get too many rounds ahead. So now you're trying to play catch up on the far end of the fight. And I mean, yeah, you good, but I mean, this guy already, like, the whole first part of the fight, I mean, you ain't have no offense. You know what I'm saying? So I think that Vasyl Lomachenko understands who Devin Haney is. Devin Haney is a boxer and he wins on points. That's how he beat that's how he won the undisputed crown from Kambosos. He beat him twice convincingly by boxing. You know, he didn't knock him out, and he was comfortable with that. And Devin Haney has said this himself in the press conference. He said I can't quote exactly what he said, but I know that he said something to the effect that I'm gonna win and I'm gonna do it comfortably. In other words, he said, he let you know that, man, look, I know I'm not a knockout artist. I'm not gonna try to knock him out. I'm gonna do what I do, win rounds. You know what I'm saying? And I think Vasyl Lomachenko understands that's who Devin Haney is, and also that Devin Haney being, you know, the bigger, stronger guy, you know, and knowing he has that boxing IQ, he's going to try to fight at a distance and try to win off points. So I believe Vasyl Lomachenko is going to try to find a way to neutralize that jab. And I think that he's going to start a lot earlier than he started with Lopez, because I know he understands that he can't get too far behind. So I think this is going to be, just to say the least, I think this is going to be I think this thing gonna have some fireworks, man. And you know, people like strong Devin Haney fans are saying that are basically talking like Devin Haney is just gonna hands down come in and outbox Lomachenko. Honestly, I don't think that's gonna happen. Then you have Lomachenko fans that's like, man, Lomachenko is gonna get him out of there in the late rounds. I don't think that's gonna happen either. You know what I'm saying? I think that this fight is gonna be. I think this has the potential to be a classic, like a classic fight that people go back and watch over and over again. It has that potential because I think both guys. Now, Devin Haney is the undisputed champion, but the thing about him, he's still trying to prove himself. You know, he don't feel like he's getting the respect that he's due as the undisputed champion. So he's almost like the guy who's not the champion, you know. And you have Vasyl Lomachenko, who actually is not the champion, and he is his dream to be the undisputed champion. So both guys want it real bad. You know what I'm saying? And when you have two guys that have the IQ that they both have, that have the skills that they both have, and have the will that they both have, man, look, this is a recipe for fireworks. Like, and I was saying in the other video, and I said in some past videos, I had a hard time getting up for that Tank Davis Ryan Garcia fight. I wasn't real excited about it because from the beginning, I mean, it was obvious that Ryan Garcia was a lot less experienced. He hadn't been in under bright lights like Tank, and he hadn't had those like big fight experiences, and he just wasn't as skillful. I mean, people underestimate the skill of Gervonta Tank Davis. He's not just a knockout artist, you know what I'm saying? And I think people starting to respect that a little bit more. But I couldn't get up for that fight. I wasn't like excited about it because I knew that. But this fight, man, I am extremely excited about this fight because this is the type of fight that boxing fans should be excited about. Because to me, I mean, I know you have fans that's going to lean one way, you know, and fans that's going to lean the other way. But to me, this is a 50-50 pick'em fight. This a 50-50 pick'em fight. And the reason why I say that is because Vasyl Lomachenko has been known for getting guys out of there. That's the truth. Like, he had people quitting on the stool and everything. But at 135, you know, he stepped up to some bigger guys. These guys are bigger than, like, Lomachenko really should. He's like a 126, like max 130 fighter, you know. 135 is a little big for him, but he had to come to 135 to get the type of opportunity that's afforded him right now. You know, he had to come to 135, you know, for that reason. And his manager said the same thing. You know, he's like, man, you know, he had to come up in weight to get this, you know, to get a bigger opportunity. And so at 135, I mean, yeah, I believe that Vasyl has some pop on his punch. But when you punching bigger guys, it's not going to have that same effect. So now you got Devin Haney, who's not known for being a power puncher at 135. You got that, I mean, Devin Haney. And then you got Vasyl Lomachenko that, yeah, he's been getting guys out of there, got a lot of pop on his punches, but he's fighting a bigger guy. I doubt that we get a knockout in this one. And I think these guys are going to really display their boxing prowess. And I think that it's going to be, I think it's going to be one for the ages, man. Bushido Chaos says Loma's style is designed to get around tall jabbers since he's pretty short, kind of like Mike Tyson. But Mike did get messed up with jabbers later in his career. Yeah, you know, and the thing about that is, like a lot of times, a lot of these fighters, when they're in their prime, you know, it's not just they have a high IQ, but they also have like their reflexes. They have all of that stuff to fall back on. But the older you get, you start losing a lot of that stuff. And what the word is with boxers, the last thing to go is your power. You know, like you keep your power, but like a lot of your quick reflexes, like you've seen it with Roy Jones Jr., the same thing. The older he got in his career, he couldn't fall back on a lot of that flashy stuff that he was doing, younger. Like he couldn't get out of the way of those punches like he used to. He couldn't counter with that, you know, lightning fast hook like he used to. You know what I'm saying? So now you have to fall back on more fundamental stuff, And if you try some of that stuff you were trying when you were younger, you might get knocked out. And Roy Jones is proof of that. So yeah, he said, but Roy lacked fundamentals. Fundamentals last longer than talent. That's right. And that's what Floyd Mayweather showed. And I'm gonna tell you this, man. I'm a big fan of this. Whatever your craft is, whatever you do in life, man, the fundamentals is what's gonna keep you. Because it's the same, it's like in life, you have to reinvent yourself over and over again in order to stay relevant. Look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, he's always had an all-around game. From college, he was hitting three-pointers. He won a championship game with a three-pointer. But, when he came in the league, he was known for dunking on people, his flashy layups and, all of that stuff. But, once he got older in his career after 2 knee surgeries, he couldn't do a lot of that stuff. So he started doing a lot of fadeaway jumpers, shooting more from 3 points. He even got broke a record one time in I think it was one of the championship games for most threes in a quarter, because he started working on that stuff. You have to reinvent yourself. If you don't, you look into, you're not the same. Your body's gonna change and everything. So you have to have those fundamentals to fall back on. That's what Floyd Mayweather did. A lot of people say Floyd Mayweather was a cherry picker. He did this and do that. But y'all don't remember Floyd? Floyd, man, y'all talking about Money Mayweather. Pretty Boy Floyd was the one that was knocking people out. You know what I'm saying? And he was doing it in grand fashion. But, the older he got, more into his career, he still had fundamentals. So, that's what kind of kept him, That's what kept him relevant in the sport. Now, he wasn't getting the knockouts like he used to, but, it kept him relevant. It kept him, fighting that championship level. You know what I'm saying? And the thing with Lomachenko, I don't think Lomachenko's like past his prime to the point where that's what we're talking about. I think he still has. I would be remiss if I didn't say that he's not as fast as he once was, and I understand that. But I don't think he's like over the hill type. You know what I'm saying? And he is fundamentally sound. Now, from fundamentals, he do break rhythm in a way that's not fundamental. Like it's kind of like a little hop step he does where he kind of breaks his stance. Really, he's off balance. And that's how who was that dropped him? Was that Linares? One of them dropped him like that. He was off balance. It wasn't a shot that really hurt him. It just was a shot that caught him off balance and he went down. You know what I'm saying? He got back up and he probably was a little buzzed, but he wasn't hurt. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing, like knowing what your weaknesses are, or knowing some bad habits you have and how not to make those bad habits show up in big fights like this. And I think that both of those guys like kind of understand that, you know what I'm saying? And I know, yeah, Lomachenko is the type of guy that, because he's shorter and he's coming up against bigger guys, he has to be the type that finds these weird angles to get past the jab or to slip the jab and counter, like he is great at that, and that's the thing that makes this fight so intriguing, because Devin Haney is very fundamentally sound, but at the same time, he hasn't had as much experience. But the experience that he have is experience that, like, being under the tutelage, like I talked about this a little bit last night, being under that tutelage in that Mayweather gym, man, I don't take that for granted. That guy got some knowledge under his belt just from watching and listening. He spent a lot of time with Floyd Senior. And Floyd Senior, man, he pretty decent. I mean, he's a world-class trainer. You know what I'm saying? And then just being in that gym with the knowledge that's there, um, you know, was something I believe that gave Devin Haney some tools, you know. Either way, this is gonna be, I don't think this fight is gonna be dominated by one fighter. I mean, I could be wrong. Vasyl Lomachenko could go in there and dominate Devin Haney and make him look silly. Or, you know, Devin Haney could come in with his youth and his tenacity and kind of overwhelm Lomachenko. But I'm gonna tell you this: I don't believe either way. I don't believe that this fight is gonna be dominated by one person. I think that some of the either way it goes, I can't tell you which one, but I think somebody's gonna take some of those first rounds, and then I think middle rounds is gonna change, and I think that the later rounds are gonna tell who's gonna win this fight. And honestly, my prediction, the only prediction that I'm gonna give for this fight is that I don't believe it's gonna be a knockout. I could be wrong, but I don't believe it's gonna be a knockout in this fight. That's the only prediction I can give you. Now, everybody else, y'all got to tell me how you believe your fight is gonna win, and that's how you can win $100. You tell me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you tell me. And you know, we getting a little bit long. Uh, I I only plan to be on here for an hour. I cut the live short because it was nobody in the chat for the last couple nights. But hey, man, I appreciate y'all for showing up. I appreciate y'all taking out y'all time, man. And I really look forward to this. Y'all join me tomorrow. Come tomorrow. Join me tomorrow. We're going to talk about both fighters. We're going to talk about Devin Haney. We're going to talk about his keys to victory. We're going to talk about Vasyl Lomachenko, his keys to victory. And then we're going to also talk about the undercard, you know, to the fight. And, you know, y'all keep participating in the chat. And come Friday, hey, man, y'all tell me who y'all behind, man. Tell me who you believe is going to win this fight. And that way I can pick two people. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to pick one person that's a Devin Haney fan, and I'm going to pick one person that's a Vasyl Lomachenko fan. And y'all going to go head to head and tell me a fight plan, how y'all fight are going to win that fight. And I'm going to pick those two fans are going to be in the running for $100. And whoever guy wins, that's who gonna get the $100, man. So y'all stick with me, man. Y'all stick with me. Y'all stick with me tomorrow night and Friday night. So tomorrow night, like I said, we're gonna talk about both fighters and the undercard. Friday night is gonna be the weigh-in. So we just gonna have all kind of stuff to talk about Friday night. Because Friday night, you know, we'll get a chance to see. I'm gonna tell you one of the big questions, especially for boxing fans, is how is Devin Haney gonna look, you know, on the scale? Is he gonna look like a dry 135? You know, because I'm gonna tell you that's gonna be a big, to me, I really feel like that's gonna be a big thing that's gonna affect the outcome of the fight. Because if Devin Haney comes in there dry and weak looking, man, I think Vasyl Lomachenko is really going to take advantage of that, you know. I mean, because these guys, man, at this level, the championship level, and with these two guys with the fight IQ that they have, they don't, it's not always about, you know, landing the punch. It's how you land the punch and where you land the punch. You know what I'm saying? And I think Gervonta Tate Davis showed you that in that fight with Ryan Garcia. You know, that I mean, it's gonna boil down. I think it's not gonna boil down to what normal fights boil down to. It's not gonna boil down to how many jabs, how many, you know. I don't think it's gonna be nothing like. It's probably gonna be fundamental. I believe it could be fundamentals that win the fight, but I think it's gonna be some things that are a little more minuscule than that. That's gonna determine the outcome of the fight. But one of the big factors to me is gonna be to see how Devin Haney makes the weight. Because make no mistake about it, he's been making this weight for a long time, and his frame is not supporting him making this weight. It's just not. You know what I'm saying? So every time he try to make 135, that's why I say, man, everybody talking about moving forward. Oh, what about Tank Davis? What about Shakur Stevenson? Man, first thing is fighting Vasyl Lomachenko. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then one of the things Devin said in the, leading up to the fight is he's gonna see how he feels at 135 on May 20th. You know what I'm saying? Because, if he have a hard time making this weight, how is he gonna fight? I'm just saying, let's say that he may get past Vasyl Lomachenko. I'm not saying he go get past him, because this is not a fight for me. This is not a fight that you call out and say, oh yeah, Devin Haney go beat Lomachenko, then he go on to fight Tank Davis or Shakur. No. But if he gets past Vasyl Lomachenko, how in the world is this man supposed to go and fight like a Tank Davis or Shakur Stevenson? I mean, at 135, to me, that's not a smart move. But the big thing is Vasyl Lomachenko is right here. Devin Haney is right here. They really need to concentrate on each other. And, with Devin Haney, he needs to make this weight comfortable. He said that he had his nutritionist for a longer amount of time, or his nutritionist, or was it his chef? I can't remember. Whoever plans out the food that he eats. He said that one of the other fights, I can't remember if he said it was the first Kambosos fight or the second one, he didn't have him for as many weeks as he was able to have him this time, because he had another fighter he was with, I think Triple G or whatever. So, but now he had him for a longer amount of time. So he's saying that he's gonna make the weight easier. But I don't know about that, man. The food you eat, that's good that you're being disciplined, and that shows that he's a professional. But that's still, your body still got to respond to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I was 25 years old, me eating 2 or 3 cheeseburgers over the weekend is different than now. I ate 2 or 3 cheeseburgers back then. I could go and jog a day, one time, jog a couple miles, and that cheeseburger won't show up. If I eat 1 cheeseburger on a Saturday, on the weekend, I could wake up Sunday morning and jog 2 miles, and it'd be like that cheeseburger say, hey, look, I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? So your body still has to respond to that. His body is changing. You know what I'm saying? His body is changing, definitely. It's really about time for him to go to 140, at least. I'm gonna tell you, Devin Haney, his frame, he looks like a solid welterweight. It looks like he can make 147 comfortably and be a good welterweight. But 140 is next, and it'll probably be easier for him to make it, and I think he'll have strength there. But 135, man, hey, it was a struggle for him. I don't know if y'all remember, if you could go back and look at the last Kambosos fight and look at Devin Devin looked like a ghost on the scale, man. Devin, now on fight night, he looked decent. He didn't look like he was like drained or whatever. But when he was on the scale, he looked bad to me, you know. So don't think that it's go get any easier. You know, this, you know, the months and months passing, his body is still changing, you know. He's not a boy anymore, you know. He's been making this weight since he was basically a boy. He's a man now. He's 24 years old. He's coming into his natural man body. You know what I'm saying? So that's gonna be a big factor to me, man, how he looks on the scale. So Friday night, we're going to look into that. We're going to have the opportunity to see him on the scale. And when we come on Friday, so tomorrow night, Thursday, we're going to come in. I'm going to start about 7:15. I'm going to say a solid 7:15. For people that are already here, yeah, 7:15, we're going to start. But on Friday, we're going to start a little bit later. I noticed that there's some other boxing shows that's out there. I don't know if you all have other channels you watch around 8. I really want to go about 8, but on Friday night. That way, you know, we have an opportunity to see the weigh in. We have an opportunity to come in and talk about a lot of that stuff. And Friday night is a little busier for me, but I don't know. I guess I'll see tomorrow, and I'll be letting everybody know tomorrow about what time we go meet on Friday. But Friday is the big day. Friday is the day where we're going to pick 2 people. We're going to pick somebody for. So I'm going to ask you guys, go ahead and put who you have winning the fight. That way I know exactly, you know, and then I can try to, you know, I gotta pick 2 people. I gotta pick somebody for Loma and somebody for Devin Haney. And that's who y'all, the people I pick are gonna be in the running for the $100. So so I don't know. So y'all put that in the chat, man. If you don't put it tonight, definitely tomorrow. We need to hash this thing out. Who you got winning the fight, man? Who you got winning? Man, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate you guys supporting the channel, taking out your time coming. I appreciate you guys that's participating in the chat. And hey, man, this Daddy P, Slap Happy Gorilla, go ahead and slap that like button for me. We only got a few people in the chat, but the few that's here, go ahead and slap the like button. And if you're not subscribed, in order to win $100 for the Vasyl Lomachenko Devin Haney fight, you have to be a subscriber. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon so you can be notified every time it go down. This is Daddy P. I appreciate everybody in the chat, and I'm signing off. Thank you. We will reconvene tomorrow night about 7:15.